So since I did media production in college, I wanted to be a camera operator, so I went to uni and did a film production degree so I could get a job in the film industry. But during university, my health was deconditioning quite severely, and I realised I could basically never be a camera operator as I couldn't stand up for long enough, which also meant I couldn't get into the industry at all, especially as a runner is the main job to get into the industry. Can't really do that with crutch or a wheelchair, so the degree which almost killed me feels very useless when I can't have a job at all due to disabilities. POTS is categorised as a heart rate increase of over 30 beats a minute within 10 minutes of standing. This is due to people with POTS having a lower blood volume in their body. POTS affects the autonomic nervous system, which controls all involuntary bodily functions, and dysautonomia is a word commonly used when this system doesn't work correctly. So between having POTS, fibromyalgia, a chronic pain condition, and other undiagnosed chronic illnesses such as hypermobile Ehlers-Danlos syndrome and chronic fatigue syndrome, it has left me unable to get a job, which is not as fun as it sounds. It can be isolating and makes me feel pretty useless not being able to support myself financially and relying on benefits like universal credit and very minimal PIP, as well as my partner.
So, my friend started an inclusive rugby club, LGBTQ, etc., inclusive, out in Lincoln, Lincolnshire Lancers. And I was part of that for, 2-3 months, moving from a small park out to the Lincoln Rugby Club, kind of inclusive. And not long after we'd moved to the actual rugby club, Alex joined. And I was a new person. I'll help him out. Spent a day learning how to throw a rugby ball with the rest of the group, and then kind of just from there, really, we were friends for best part of a year afterwards, and then just kind of got together at some point.
It can also get very boring being forced to stay inside because I'm too unwell to leave the house. Even worse when the fatigue gets so severe that I can literally not do anything, not like scrolling social media, which I spend too much time doing due to fatigue levels, or not being able to go onto my Switch or like crochet, which is the thing that I do to pass time when I can. I started crocheting sort of October 2023, and by December had made a little small business trying to get some extra income while doing something I enjoy that doesn't take too much energy. I try to go outside when I can, even if it's just going into town, grabbing a coffee, which is usually Costa, as it's my favourite place to crochet. And I also try to see my friends at least once a week if I can. Before my diagnosis, I was having trouble with breathlessness, palpitations, fatigue, dizziness, and lightheadedness, and I had no idea why. I tried contacting my old GP and couldn't get an appointment as I had to call on the day, which my anxiety stopped me from being able to do. And after weeks of trying, including walking 15 minutes up a hill multiple times, which exacerbated the symptoms, for them to say they couldn't see me at all, I ended up going to General Hospital A&E after college in early March 2020, and one of their paediatric nurses, since I was 17, instantly knew that it was POTS and did an active stand test before admitting me. So basically they measured my heart rate and blood pressure while sat down, and then as I stood up, and after a few minutes of being stood up. I only ended up being admitted for about 6 hours, as I later got told I didn't have POTS. So I left not knowing what was wrong until 6 months later, and I had to get a summary of my medical records for my uni GP, and I saw that I had that diagnosis the whole time. And there were some other tests that they also did, including an electrocardiogram, an ECG, a tilt table test where I had to lay on a table that can be tilted and get strapped in with a heart rate and blood pressure measured, before and while being tilted and being stood for like 10 minutes while they monitored my vitals. I had a 24-hour heart rate monitor. I think I've had that twice, where they just stuck sticky pads on my skin with wires and a small box attached as like a necklace with some gauze. And I had to keep a diary of activities and press a button on the box when I had symptoms. And I've also had an echocardiogram, which is basically a heart ultrasound and blood tests to rule out other conditions.
So we are looking at buying a house at the moment. We're hopefully in the last stages. We have been fortunate enough to be gifted enough money through grandparents, parents, my own inheritance, savings, bits and pieces like that, to put a down payment on a house. So we're going to move out there. We're going to try and build that up, make that an accessible home for my partner. We're going to turn the downstairs living room into a bedroom that we can both, we can be as a bedroom, but it's also a large enough living area that we can have bits and pieces that Alex can have, like a downstairs table for crafting when they don't feel able to go all the way upstairs or downstairs. But also, at the moment, we're just kind of taking it as it comes.